so today we begin with the Bronx River Community Garden. Transformed from a vacant lot into a thriving urban farms for almost 50 years now, the community garden is committed to offering diverse workshops and events, inviting neighbors to join in their journey of growth and learn to promote a healthier diet by growing their own produce. And joining us to share more is the Bronx River Community Gardens land steward, Concetta Gleason, and garden member Kingsley Taylor. Hello and welcome.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, great. Oh my gosh, this is great stuff. Well, harvest season is approaching.
Yes.
Yeah, so give us a little background on the Bronx River Community Garden, because you seem to be very committed to it.
Oh, goodness. Kingsley, you want to take this away or should I start?
Sure. As you mentioned, this little community garden was started in 1976 by a bunch of a few concerned community members. You know, the Bronx is burning, things were happening. And they got together and they started to grow food, because the kind of food that they wanted, because it wasn't available in the neighborhood. And the membership is pretty much the same from then to now, 25, 27 members and their families. And yes, we grow 80% food, 20% flowers and everything else around that. And we've been able to, in the last few years that I became a member, our relationship with the community has continued to grow. We offer, every Wednesday we do free food giveaways. You know, there are many things that the garden is there for. Also, the other day I was sitting there and a young lady came in. She sat down for 3 hours. She got up, she came over and she said, "Thank you." That's why I'm there.
I got you. You know, I just felt that, you know, and you're all teary-eyed while you're talking about it, because I get it. I get it, right? When you're in this fast-paced urban environment, to have a sanctuary like that and to know that you're actually, it's your hands or the community's hands being placed into that land that's growing their own food and or their flowers, just to create that peace, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Peace of mind in all aspects.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so much that drives our garden is really access to green spaces. We really make sure the doors are open, and we really want the community in there with us. This is meant to be our garden, not just a closed garden. It's meant to be a community space for people who maybe aren't familiar with gardening or getting their hands dirty in this regard the first time ever, or long-time farmers. We're almost 50 years. We have some really incredible elders in the community who really drive conversation around what does it mean to be growing garden, growing herbs, growing vegetables that are native to their own culture, and what does it mean to be eating healthy in a way that makes sense to your body chemistry.
You know, it's really admirable, right, to just witness how you're actually in the forefront of making sure that development doesn't go up around it, and it's near the water. I know, I did my research. I saw. And so, you know, what that must take in order to sustain. And so, talk to me about what that battle has been.
You know, we're prepared to get loud for what we believe in. And I feel like I'm really proud of our garden, because I really feel like we came together as a group and we agreed that we were going to push back, and we found success that way by becoming one voice out of many. And we had the community support, and that's really, I have to say, what drove us forward and what carried us through. We had the community board there, we had local children's groups there with us, and that's what really showed the developers that this is not the right place, not the right time, that we're going to push back.
And the fact that you're doing it with the next generation, it really means even more, right?
Yeah,
because you're already cultivating them to understand the value
Yes.
of community and growing your own food.
Absolutely.
I keep going back to that because it's a big deal.
It's revolutionary.
You know why? Because when you're urban, you don't think about those things.
Exactly.
Right. So, talk to us about the programming that you offer, because I know that you're also the CEO of Wildflowers and Books, right? And I love this concept of merging the two concepts and offering this, what are they, reading sessions, books?
It's a mix of programming. Wildflowers and Books connects literacy with nature. So finding access and connectivity through both, and a borough that has been underserved in both regards. Even though we are the greenest borough, we have very limited access to green spaces. So really, what does it mean to create a space for local authors, for local children to connect over their own stories, their own books, and to read together, do activities, and take those books home. So you're starting home gardens and you're starting home libraries. And what that does to a family, what that does to a generation when you have a child who's a seed in the family really pushing literacy.
That's beautiful.
And the Bronx River is, I mean, I have to say the Story Garden was born at Bronx River Community Garden, where my background's editorial. I was a children's book editor and curator for many years. And I just said as a local member, I really think we should bring authors here. I think we should bring books to this space. And it just took off because it was the right home for it.
And so I just want to ask Kingsley, because you were giving us a little bit of history, and the fact that this garden was founded in 1976. That's innovation at its finest during a time where there was nothing but like burnt buildings and really beat up like land, right? And just garbage all over the place. And so those generations who started it, who founded it, are they still, like, have they passed it on? Like, how has that continued moving forward?
I'm glad you asked, because we have one of our original members. There's a write-up. You can go on Google. You can Google the garden. Nessie Pantoon. She's actually a member of one of our sister gardens that's down the street, Drew Gardens, and we are all on the Bronx Rivershed.
Yeah.
And the idea was 60, 70 years ago was tire shops, gas stations, all lined up the Bronx River, and it just destroyed it.
Yeah.
Over the last 60, 70 years, clean up. And now, along with what we do with the garden, all the programming, the food, we plant and raise beds. New York City, we don't advocate that anyone plant directly into the soil.
Right.
Unless it's tested, and that's why we plant and raise beds. And the idea of the river is that it's a clean environment now.
Yeah.
But there is so much work going on. We're keeping that space clean.
Yes.
We advocate, man. We have people come into the garden and we tell them, hey, look, this is just a small space, less than an acre that we have here. This is what we offer, but we have Drew Gardens, we have Starlight Park, Bronx River Alliance, and Concrete Park, all along the rivershed, straight out to the ocean. And then we are partnered with the New York Botanical Garden, Bronx Green Up. All these partners. What you're doing here is wonderful, because you're getting us out there. Letting people know that this is available for them here, in the urban setting.
Correct, right?
Yes.
And we need voices like yours. No, you know why? Because people need to understand that it matters. Because if it doesn't matter to you, it's not going to matter to anybody else, especially when it's in your neighborhood.
Yes.
Right? But they have to be brought up understanding the importance of it.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's lovely. I'm excited. I'm excited to visit the garden.
Oh, please do.
And so, but let's talk about the Harv-Fest.
Yes.
We're talking about everything, because we got to make sure
perfect
that everybody
opportunity.
joins then, because that's going to be a wonderful introduction. So, so we talked about the wildflowers and bugs, and you're also going to have a gardening workshop series. And I love that you have an intro to bonsai.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. We have an avid, one of our members, he's an avid bird watcher, belongs to the Audubon Society, and he's big into bonsai. And next season, hopefully we'll be able to, I personally, I'm about hands in the dirt.
Yes.
And so many adults, older and young, and there is no age discrimination here. Bring your children, bring your elder with you.
Yes.
Each class that I do, it's going to be Garden 101. This is layman terms. I'm not certified, not a teacher, but we're going to get a few kits.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And each class is a standalone. You come the first one, you don't have to make the next 6 to understand exactly how do you start? How do you grow little herbs on your windowsill?
Right.
It's important that we begin to be able to feed ourselves and use what we use.
I think we're living in a society where we have to take care of
Yeah.
our own food. Like
Yeah.
right now, we're
Yeah.
these are some really interesting times,
we're all a
right?
link
So
in a
it's
chain.
lovely that
What kind of feeling is that when you grow something with your own hands and you eat it?
I got to shout out my girl Mariposa, because I went to an event and she made this beautiful salad. I mean, the salad itself was beautiful, but all she could talk about was the cucumbers, because she grew them herself.
Yeah.
Because she has a plot in another community garden.
Wonderful.
I don't know the name of it, so I can't shout them out. But the fact that there is this certain level of pride that she carried in knowing that those cucumbers were grown by her own hands.
Yes.
And so I can only imagine how
Absolutely.
many lives you're transforming and watching life form itself.
Yeah.
And it's not just that. In the community, we have different people. And they stop in and they ask us, are you growing this? Do you know what this is?
Yeah.
And we look at it. We research it and we see, are we allowed to? Is it something that we can add next year? we'll put it on the table.
Yeah.
All right, so before we go, let's
Harv-Fest.
mention, I know, because
Yeah.
I told you, we
I
can
know.
go
We'll
on
just
and on.
start
It's
chit-chatting.
okay, we can have you on another time to discuss other aspects of
Yes.
the garden.
Yes.
Harv-Fest.
But right now, we're talking about the Harv-Fest, and I want to make
Yes.
sure that
Right.
people understand that everybody is welcome and what
Please,
the day is
everyone.
going to look like.
All right.
October 5th, we are opening up the garden for our 3rd annual Harv-Fest. So this is just going to be a wonderful celebration for the community. We're going to host a story garden. We'll have another wonderful author, and we'll have free books as well for giveaway. We're going to have a karaoke machine. We're going to have food available, pumpkin carving, tarot reading, if that's your deal. I personally enjoy it. And just scavenger hunts, photo booths. We really want to open the space as a fun, enjoyable, safe, clean area for the community. Like a really open space for 0 to 100 in terms of age range.
And so, granted, it's available to everybody.
Yes.
It's intergenerational.
Yes.
Do people need to reserve space, or
You can show up the day of. In our Instagram, we do have a link tree. It would be helpful if you can fill out tickets, just so we know how much supplies to bring.
Right.
But you can also just stop on by. I know Instagram's not for everybody. I know that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for bringing it here.
Absolutely.
Once again, everybody, Concetta Gleason, Bronx River Community Gardens land steward and garden member veteran, I might say, Kingsley Taylor. And once again, we were speaking about their 3rd annual Harv-Fest, which is set to take place Saturday, October 5th from 1 to 5 p.m. And that's located at East 180th Street and DeVoe Avenue in West Farms. And once again, for registration and or more information, you can visit their Instagram at River Garden BX. All right, stay tuned. There's more open when we return.